Peace, peace, y'all. It's your girl B from Being Rose here. Welcome to the Being Rose Vision. This space has been activated to support the Being Rose values, which are art, intuition, reverie, create beauty, truth and love, and most importantly, relationship to self, deepening the relationship to self through introspection, through reflection, through emotional honesty. All right, and I pray that you all are in good health, good mind space, good spirits on this beautiful day, beautiful evening, whatever time of the day that you're seeing this video is the right time, all right? It's the perfect time, all right? So now that that's out of the way, let's talk very candid, okay? How is the Mercury retrograde treating y'all? Because I've been sleepy, okay? I've been very much slowed down, very intentional about, and not even, I don't even want to say intentional. It's just been, I guess part of that slowing down where you're just like, I don't wanna, so I'm not gonna, or I wanna and I'm gonna. So I don't even want to say it's intentional because I can't say that things have been, well, properly thought out and planned. I think I'm literally shying away from plans, okay? Like if there's a plan, I don't know. So I am definitely in flow state and just going with the flow and how it feels and how my body feels and getting a lot of rest. So tell me how it's doing you this season, this Mercury retrograde season. How are you checking your temperature? What's your degrees, okay? And that brings me to the weather, which I appreciate. Listen, I love the summer. I'm not saying I'm a summer baby. People always say, I like that because that's when I was born. I don't know if what that has to do with anything, but listen, I do find it a bit strange when people complain about the weather in the season that we're in. It's like, okay, yeah, it's hot. It's the summer. It's supposed to be hot. It's cold. Yeah, it's cold. It's the winter. It's supposed to be cold. But, and I know, I'm not saying it's something that like grinds my gears. It's just an observation that I'm just kind of like, I kind of really have to bite my tongue so that I don't say anything smart alecky in response. Like, okay, yeah, it's the summer. Yeah, it's hot. It's supposed to be hot. Like, I can see if you, making some grand observation if it was the summertime and it's cold outside. But I do prefer the summer. I like the heat. I like the sun. I like when it's warm, and I like it when some AC is nearby. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not, yes, I like when I can get to some cooling, some cool air. I like to be outside adjacent, I'm outside adjacent. Yes, I will come to your cookout. Yes, I would like to be under a covered area where there's a large fan or there's an AC blowing. So yes, invite me to your cookout as long as it can be adjacent. I need some, So y'all know I gotta talk my mess. So other things that are happening in my world currently, Daydreams About Night Things Volume 2 has been released as of June 29th. That was on Monday, on Moon Day. Okay, if you have not checked it out for yourself, got your glimpse, visit viewberose.com. I will put the links in the description bar and also in the community tab of this page. And you can purchase it through Amazon or I am offering the Poppy edition, which is my way of saying thank you to supporters and having a direct to a supporter addition that comes with some goodies, okay? That comes with a little bit extra for those who are supporters of the literary arts, supporters of independent artists, being shipped directly from Being Rose. And it is something that, of course, is dear to my heart, as with all of my heart projects. And actually starting to get some wheels turning in some other directions. And so I'm also, with this retrograde slowing me down, trying not to be in that overproductive mode that we have been institutionalized into becoming, making it part of our second nature, where we're just like constantly on the move, constantly on the go. Sorry, it's a piece of lint. Constantly having to, you know, force output, not really even forcing it, but kind of feeling as if we are being too idle when we're not being, not doing something that's gonna create a productivity, when we're not producing, right? And I posed a question on my threads, just like, who are you under pressure versus when there is none? You know, for people who are like, like myself and like many other people, in this world, we thrive. Some people thrive in pressure, when things get a little, kind of like how you like the summer. When things get a little hot, you're like, yes, okay, my back's against the wall. I think it's part of that little survival mode. It might be, I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but I'm sure there's a lot that goes into that, a lot of observations and introspections that can be made about why we feel that way about our lives and how we got here, being worker bees. I'm sure history can tell us the story about how we came to be in this, if I'm not producing something, then, I feel, I don't know what to do with the idleness. I don't know what to do with the rest. I feel, am I still worthy, and maybe not to that extent, but still feeling, kind of like, what am I going to do with my hands if they're not constantly touching something or doing something or creating something? What am I going to do with my mind if it's not thinking about the next art project, the next thing, the next task that I need to complete? So that's why I'm really grateful for this Mercury retrograde too, because like I said, it's slowed me down. It's told me to rest. My body has just been like, I still get my workouts. I still, make sure my chores are done. You know what I mean? But for a person who's typically an overproductive being, then I'm grateful for the opportunities to, for the flow of it, for being able to slow down and being able to let your creative genius have rest and have opportunities to think of new ideas and not feeling as if you need to act on them, maybe just letting thoughts pass and, being able to see clearly, whatever your perfect plan could be without, sabotaging it with movement, with activity, with, fixing and doing all of this. So, and I'm sure I probably got to that place when Daydreams About Night Things Volume 2 was released, because it was just kind of like, honoring the Being Rose values is really not a big forcing and, here it is, look at me. This is a community that I build on honesty, on emotional honesty, on truth, on love, on peace, and however that may look, whether it's, challenging your beliefs, whether it's standing firm on your square, taking a step back, reflecting, rest. you know? So I definitely wanted to speak about that. And was there anything else that I wanted to get into with y'all before we get into this collective read? I think I'm good. I guess as the thoughts come, they would. But also, you know, like I said, let me know with how this Mercury retrograde has been showing up in your life. Drop a comment. Of course, like, share, subscribe to this channel here if you're not already, because we're building over here. We like it over here. We're building over here. And that's just what it is. All right? There's no stopping that. I mean, nothing I can do about it. Nothing you can do about it. Okay, so you might as well like, share, and subscribe. I mean, why not? What else you got going on? All right. So you hear me over here shuffling my Moonology moon cards, oracle cards, and I'm just gonna get us a message out here, seeing what the collective energy is going into this week, and what energy the collective should be stepping on, stepping out of, should be fine-tuning, should be in the moment of releasing, and or with the return of Mercury retrograde, having to reflect and reassess and doing all the re-words, okay, rewind, okay, let's get a redo on how we feel, how our relationship ended, how we deal with our professional lives and our personal lives. And if you too are, you know, in a flow state of just like taking your time, of slowing down, not being so quick in your movement, in your decision making, then I feel that you are in alignment with the season, okay? So let's see here. Let's get us some oracle card out here. Let's see here. Thank you, Spirit. What is the collective energy? What message do you have for the collective or for this week? Thank you. What is the collective energy? What message do you have for the collective? Okay. Alright, we'll start right there. So coming out, first we have communication is key. The energy is gaining momentum, but nothing yet is set in stone. Okay? The energy is gaining momentum, nothing yet is set in stone. Let's see here. Now we're going to get into some tarot, some of the classic tarot. You know, we like the classics over here. Just to give us more insight on this message. I'm not really picking up anything at this moment for what that communication could be. Now the cards are pre-shuffled. I'm just going to cut the deck once more and we'll get into it. Energy is gaining momentum. Nothing yet is set in stone. Okay. At the bottom of the deck, we have the King of Wands, which is that leader, big leader energy. All right. Okay. Thank you, Spirit. What more can you say to clarify this message for the collective? What is the collective energy? Thank you. Cards are already speaking. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. So first out, we have the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords, followed by the Lovers. Definitely some alignment and balance going on here. Eight of Wands. Okay. Okay, see what's coming in, followed by the star, more balance, more alignment. Okay. The Nine of Swords. Ooh-wee. So what I'm getting here, followed by the Magician. All right. So looking at this spread and considering the oracle message here, Seven of Swords is very tricky energy. Very tricky because it can be seen as self-sabotage. It could be seen as maybe betrayal or deception, but this betrayal and deception, by it leading out first, doesn't always have to be somebody betraying the collective, someone betraying you, you know, someone betraying us. It could be a lot of mental disalignment, right? A lot of self-sabotage, a lot of telling ourselves it's one way when it's another way, you know, a lot of not seeing things for what it is, or a lot of which is a lot of mental manipulation, self-inflicted pain. You know what I mean? That's what it can lead to, because this is part of losing control, and is losing control of reality. You know what I mean? It's like losing control. Maybe you're keeping secrets, someone's keeping secrets from you, and trying to be slick about it. You know what I mean? And since we have the Nine of Swords in this spread, I'm going to turn this into the collective is definitely dealing with some issues with what they're telling themselves, right? Maybe some self-inflicted betrayal, you know, some self-sabotage, which to me is, you know, betraying yourself. You know, maybe you're having something happening with, especially with the oracle cards, with communication is key. Nothing yet is set in stone. Maybe you're having to, in your quest, on your journey that you're currently on, having to wait for a decision that you're kind of making, you know, you're kind of telling yourself some very negative things, you know, and that you would need to bring balance. You would need to, because the Lovers, you know, it can insinuate a pair, another energy, the collective in another energy, but this is also alignment. This is alignment of your mind, of your heart. You know, this is balance, is what it represents. You know, it's also knowing when to trust that the divine, you know, however you call a higher power that you believe, or the power within, will guide you properly in the way that it should, and to what's going to, you know, be sufficient, and to what's going to be harmonious, you know, and what's going to be proper and expansive to your higher self, you know. So that's, in this case, the Lovers would bring that balance, because the energy is gaining momentum. Now, this energy, from what I'm seeing, could be maybe if you're looking for a decision, if you're looking for an answer, that's, you know, kind of where this is going, possibly. Maybe you're looking to receive something, you know, maybe, you know, whatever it is that you're asking the divine for, you know, to do for you or to make happen in your life, then, you know, that energy is gaining momentum, but maybe you're finding a hard time between, it's funny, like I said in the intro, of knowing when to rest, of knowing when to not have everything in your hands, right? When to let things go, when to move, when to sit back, when to let things unfold, and versus you feeling like you need to do, all the work, all the thought, all the thinking, and you're somehow telling yourself the worst. And because in the star energy being here as well, this major arcana is also a representation of balance. The star, typically, the energy of the star is that hope, that calm after the storm, right? So don't find yourself in this anxious energy, this overthinking, this expecting the worst to happen, because things are still unfolding. Things are still unfolding. And this right here, this energy this right here, I'm sorry, am I pointing directly? I can't see myself that well. But the magician energy is saying you have the tools in your hands. And I'm also getting with that, what are you trying to create? Are you trying to manifest anxiety? Are you trying to manifest worry, sleepless nights? Are you trying to manifest self-sabotage? Are you trying to manifest alignment? Are you trying to bring the energy of power that's being yielded in a positive way, right? Because power definitely has a positive and a negative charge, because that's definitely what we're seeing here in this spread, which is a whole lot of balance, a whole lot of chasing of balance. And you don't want to, put yourself in a position where you are affecting your abundance with your own hands. You want to be able to release, to calm yourself, to be in alignment, to not, even if you find yourself in this energy of anxiety, of ruminating, of overthinking, calm yourself with that. There's a lot of air here, even though we do have some fire, so the mental faculties are what we're dealing with in this. I don't know if you're an air sign, you're air, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, in this energy. Maybe you're watching, maybe you are, just because there's so much air here. And even though we have the Eight of Wands in here, that's kind of giving us almost a warning, right? Because when you think about fire, fire is movement, and the Eight of Wands is definitely movement. And it's kind of almost saying here that you have the capability to make this outcome however you want, right? If your mind is in the wrong place, your mind is in a negative space, your mind is in a controlling, manipulative, not wanting to see things for what it is, not wanting to take accountability, or worry or fear or depression, you're in that type of mind state, then you are going to make that your reality. You're going to manifest that into your life. However, if you're able to bring calm, if you're able to allow the calmness to step in, because it's already here, it's already making itself present to you, just like the major arcanas here with the lovers and the star. It's already there. This is already the divine stepping in on your behalf to say, listen, all is well. Bring, here's the balance that you need, and let that propel you let that propel you into manifesting whatever it is that you may be desiring, because that energy is gaining momentum, right? So what are you manifesting? And take this message as a warning, absolutely, because nothing is set in stone at this moment, right? However, once you get to the end of this, to the end of this point, this line, I'm thinking of season-wise, not really seeing that. That's not really standing out to me at this moment as to timeline wise. However, and you never know, you know what I mean, with that. So if it's something that you're dealing with, if this message resonates with you, then I would definitely start taking those steps towards being in a point of releasing, being in the energy of the flow, right? Because you don't, with this energy, there's lots of good energy being around, you don't want to allow your mind to deceive you. The mind can play tricks on us. It can be very deceptive, especially for if you're an air sign, I will keep saying Aries. I don't know why I keep thinking that. Maybe you're an Aries, the fact that it just keeps coming out. But if you're a Gemini, Aquarius, Libra, maybe you are, you understand what it means to be a person with high mental faculties. You think a lot. You're the idea haver. And what we think in our minds, if it reaches to our hearts, then it definitely has the capability to manifest. The magician is Gemini energy as well. They are the great manifestors of the zodiac. So you don't want the tools that you have, this great tool that you have being the mind, you want to be able to see clearly, right? That communication being key, and you see the twins here, representing of Gemini as well. You want to make sure with that communication that sometimes it's not always, like I said, another outside energy. Sometimes it's within. We have to tell ourselves everything is okay. We have to tell ourselves, listen, release that. You overthinking it. You doing too much. You know what I mean? You're thinking about it the wrong way. Or if whatever your devotional practice is, whether you meditate, pray, or whether you get into movement, somewhere where you can quiet your mind and kind of refocus your attention, your energy into something else that's also productive to you, so that you're able to have that moment of rest, have those moments of balance, of calm, of understanding that everything will work out to your good. Sometimes just telling ourselves that is the reminder that we need. All things will work out to my highest good. You can repeat that. All things will work out to my highest good. All things are working out for my highest good. Take that Eight of Wands energy of that momentum. It's already incoming. All things are already worked out to my highest good. Things have already worked out for my highest good. Claim it and quantum leap it, change that timeline and alchemize that energy so that you're able to redirect, get yourself out of this mode, this energy of self-sabotaging and putting yourself in a position of mastery, of creativity, of healing self, being able to heal, and what I'm getting is, whoever's watching this, the collective, This may resonate with you, may not. But you are a powerful being. You have the capability to affect others around you, right? The mood, the energy of the workplace, the energy of the home, wherever that may be, the dynamic of a friendship or a relationship, however it may show up. A lot you may, and this is not to add to any pressure, but I'm just saying how powerful your energy is, especially with the Magician being here and the Lovers and the Star being here. You have, when you're not good, things are, it's affecting everyone around you, whether you're vocal about it or you're not vocal about it. I think that your energy is felt when you're absent through not speaking, not communicating. Then your energy is felt, So this is definitely saying, the message I'm getting here is to allow some of that mutable energy of Gemini, because it's showing up here twice, really, really 3 times. Allow some of that mutable energy to come in so that you're not so allowing yourself to have to be convinced in a way that it needs, like someone needs to have the perfect thing to say to you in order to get you to be less tense. You know what I mean? Because that may not exist. That that may not exist outside of you, is what I'm getting, especially with the 7 of Swords here and the 9 of Swords here. That doesn't exist outside of you. This is something that's internal. This is something that you are going to have to overcome within, and you have the power to do so. You have all of the tools to make that happen. So what are you choosing to manifest? Do you want it to be calm? Do you want it to be peace? Or are you trying to manifest drama into your life, into the lives of other people who may depend on your emotional maturation, who may look at you as a leader in a sense, who are following your lead? You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that's enough to kind of wake people up and get them out of their heads when they realize I'm being very selfish in how I'm viewing this. Sometimes you may feel as though you don't have the space for yourself to be able to feel, I don't want to say negative, but in order to feel worried, to feel depressed, to feel fucked up, you know what I mean? But this is not what, this right here, this spread is saying that this is a particular time where you don't want to be in that mode of self-sabotaging, because you are in a space where your power is very strong. And if you are in that mental space, then you are going to manifest that into your life. That's what you're going to have. And if you're looking to expand, if you're looking for an expansive opportunity, then you're going to have to calm. You're going to have to bring balance. You're going to have to align your mind and your heart. You're going to have to get into a higher self mindset, mind space. So whatever your devotional practices are, lean into that, because the energy is gaining momentum, and the divine is pretty much telling you, you have more time. Nothing is set in stone. You have more time. Now, how much time that is, I don't know. I can't tell you that. But I would take that into consideration, okay? I think I'm going to leave it here because I don't want to be too repetitive. But hopefully this helps. Hopefully this gave you cause to reflect, to introspect, give you reason for emotional honesty, because that's what being Rose is here for. All right, so I'll talk to you soon. All right, peace. Get out of here.